Have you ever felt fear holding you back? That cold feeling in your chest that whispers, "You're not ready. You'll fail." What if I told you that fear isn't your enemy? It's your greatest teacher. This is the story of a young man who stopped running from fear and learned to let it lead him toward greatness. Nestled deep in the mountains was a quiet village surrounded by rolling hills and misty peaks. The villagers lived peaceful, simple lives, tending to their farms, fishing in clear rivers, and gathering around fires at night to share stories. Among them lived a young man named Kiran, 22 years old. He was strong, healthy, and full of potential. But despite his gifts, Kiran's heart carried a shadow: fear. He feared failure, he feared judgment, and most of all, he feared disappointment. Every time an opportunity came to climb the cliffs, join the archery contests, or help lead the harvest, he hesitated. His mind whispered, "What if you fail? What if they laugh?" So he stayed in his comfort zone, safe but small. Kiran would often stand at the edge of the village, gazing up at the towering mountain that loomed above. The villagers called it the Peak of Trials, a place where only the brave dared to climb. And every morning, Kiran told himself the same lie: "I'll climb it one day, when I'm ready." But that one day never came. One evening, dark clouds gathered above the village. A storm rolled in, the kind that made even the bravest stay indoors. Through the wind and rain, a lone traveler entered the village. He was tall, with silver hair and a long white beard that flowed down his chest. His robe was simple, but his eyes held something deeper. The villagers offered him food and shelter. As they sat by the fire, the old man noticed Kiran sitting quietly in the corner, staring out the window toward the mountain. "You look like someone who sees more than he dares to touch," the old man said gently. Kiran blinked, startled. I suppose that's true." The old man smiled knowingly. "And why do you fear the mountain?" Kiran looked down. "Because I'm not ready. Because I'm afraid." The stranger nodded. "Then you are ready. Fear is not the sign to stop. It's the call to begin." Kiran frowned. "How can fear be good? It makes me weak." The old man leaned closer. "No, fear makes you aware. It tells you what truly matters. Meet me at the mountain's base tomorrow at sunrise. Bring only yourself and your fear." Then, before Kiran could respond, the stranger stood and walked into the night rain. At dawn, mist blanketed the village. Kiran stood at the mountain's base, his heart pounding. He half hoped the old man wouldn't come, but soon, out of the fog, the traveler appeared, walking with the ease of one who had climbed many mountains before. "You came," said the old man, smiling. "You told me to bring my fear. I brought plenty of it." The old man chuckled. "Good. It will keep you alive." They began the climb. The path was steep and rocky. Cold wind whipped through the trees, and loose gravel shifted beneath their feet. After only a short distance, Kiran stopped, breathing heavily. "I can't do this. My legs are shaking." "That's not weakness," said the master calmly. "That's your body waking up." As they climbed higher, Kiran's mind flooded with doubts. "What if I slip? What if I fall?" Each time, the old man would say, "Good, that's fear speaking. Listen, but don't obey." And so they continued, step by trembling step. By midday, the two reached a narrow ledge. Before them yawned a dark cave. The old man lit a small lantern and handed it to Kiran. We rest here, but you must enter first." Kiran hesitated. The cave's darkness felt alive, breathing, whispering, taunting. Kiran have to enter." "Master, it looks dangerous." "Of course it does. That's why it's worth entering." With shaking hands, Kiran stepped inside. Every sound echoed: dripping water, distant wind, the crunch of his footsteps. Then from deep inside, a faint growl. His heart raced. "Something's in here!" he shouted. The old man's calm voice replied from behind, "Yes, your fear." Kiran turned toward the sound, only to see his own shadow stretched tall and trembling against the stone wall. "See," said the old man softly, "it was never the darkness you feared. It was the reflection of your own doubt." Kiran lowered the lantern, staring at his shadow until it became still. As they continued the climb, the sky darkened again. Rain began to fall. The rocks turned slippery. The wind howled through the cliffs. Lightning flashed. Kiran's heart pounded faster. "Master, we have to go back," he shouted over the storm. But the old man stood firm, rain streaming down his face. "No, Kiran, this is the test. Fear is loudest just before you conquer it." Kiran closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He felt the fear inside him, wild, cold, powerful. But instead of fighting it, he listened. Fear said, "Hold tighter to the rocks." Fear said, "Watch your step." Fear said, "Don't stop now." And for the first time, fear didn't paralyze him. It guided him. He moved carefully, deliberately, using the fear as fuel, not as chains. By the time the storm passed, Kiran was exhausted, soaked, but alive, and stronger than he had ever been. At last, after hours of climbing, they reached the top. The clouds parted, revealing a breathtaking view. Endless valleys, shimmering rivers, and the golden light of dawn breaking through. Kiran fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Tears filled his eyes, not from pain, but from relief and understanding. "I didn't lose my fear. I just stopped running from it." The old man smiled. "Exactly. Fear isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move despite it." They stood together in silence, watching the sunrise. Below them, the village looked small, peaceful, distant. Kiran realized that the mountain had never been his enemy. It had always been his teacher. When Kiran returned to the village, the people were astonished. His eyes carried a calm strength they never seen before. He no longer spoke of what he feared, he spoke of what he had learned. He began helping others face their fears, the boy afraid to speak up, the girl afraid to fail, the farmer afraid to try again after losing a crop. Kiran taught them the same truth the master had shown him. Fear is not a wall, it's a compass. It points toward the things that truly matter. He often said, "If something scares you deeply, that's where your growth lives. Walk toward it, not away." Years later, travelers passing through the mountains would speak of the wise young teacher who once feared the climb and now helped others climb their own mountains. And though many forgot his name, none forgot his message. This story teaches you that fear isn't your enemy, it's your guide. It shows you where your greatest growth and purpose lie. The moment you stop running from fear and start walking with it, you discover your true strength. If this story inspired you, remember, Your breakthrough begins where your fear begins. Don't run from it. Let it guide you. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful motivational stories that help you overcome, grow, and rise beyond your limits.